what we're building on, which some images of the heart being weighed on the scale against a feather. To give a general perspective, the way Brother Panic explains this is instructions from ancient Egypt on the pyramid walls, the hieroglyphics of how to avoid reincarnation, how to not come back here after unaliving. Now, in Judy K. King's speech, which is on YouTube, she says reincarnation's not something that I've dived into very much, so it doesn't really talk about that. But she said she's open to the idea because if the lysogenic cell cycle takes place, then somebody technically stays here, and that could ideally lead to reincarnation, is what Judy K. King said. So she said she's open to the idea. I'm trying to see how to change.
Yeah, which means she's saying, I wrote a book about reincarnation. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
like
in other words.
There's no way she could just get up there and be like, hey, this is what is going on. The book is confusing enough. She can't get up there and explain it. But I have exactly what that process is on page 101 in the Balls of Fire, the whole gene expression of what's going on. And some other stuff about Lambda. I got some notes too.
Okay. Miss J, what's good?
Peace, peace. Good to see you.
Peace. Good to see you too. Thanks for joining the panel. So we're going to be going over ancient Egyptian instructions on how to avoid reincarnation, how to not come back here after unaliving.
Yeah.
Brother Panic has an 18-hour lecture on this book called the Isis Thesis. He did 3 6-hour videos, which are on YouTube, where he's talking about this book alone. You know, so he spoke about this book for 18 hours, you know, which some people are saying, you know, he didn't have to do 18 hours talking about one book. But I think the perspective Panic is coming from is this knowledge isn't for everybody. So if it's for you, then you'll be willing to sit through the entire 18 hours. You know, that's sort of like how we keep it a cult, even though it's public and on social media.
Well, I mean, people don't want to do the work anyway.
Right.
And it's like he already did the work. 18 hours isn't bad compared to a lifetime. So
there you go. Yeah, if you really are sick of coming back here and doing this again and again, you know. But he mentions. You said what, Bree?
No wonder people stay here for so long.
Right. He mentions it goes into this in the Isis Thesis that the pharaohs kept this knowledge hidden, and the commoners of ancient Egypt weren't allowed this knowledge. So, and we're going to get into this with biological altruism. Camp Wisdom can explain it beautifully, the Brother Phoenix, that basically, you know, the common people in ancient Chem, in ancient Egypt, were expected to recycle, to reincarnate. But this knowledge to ascend was kept for the pharaohs when it gets into the reason for the pyramids, and all of that. So I hope that the way I've noted it makes sense. We will get started.
It doesn't seem like much has changed, right?
Well, some things have changed, but maybe the path out of here hasn't changed. What do you think, Brother Phoenix?
History repeats itself because we keep doing the same thing. But also, I mean, that's the nature of this experience, right?
Right.
From a quantum state, which what all of this is being projected from a quantum state. Nature's MO is to preserve the few over the many. This is just life. Like if you pay attention to the patterns of Earth and everything, nature's MO is to preserve the few over the many. So it's just like a drama being played out. Nobody said it's fair, but that's just that's just what it is. It's weird. Like I like to say we're drama queens and drama kings on a molecular level because like she says in the Balls of Fire, the quantum world is ruled by quantum mechanics, and that's what orders our classical cosmos that's ruled by general relativity. So the classical action of science seems to be a holographic veil of the molecular world. So we're projecting it. So she says, in other words, the activities of humans are just signs or patterns of the competitive activities of quantum molecules. So that's why it's, you know, when you're healing, you hear it's an inner journey thing because you got to change yourself molecularly to change whatever you're projecting externally. So it's like, it's not like the Egyptians kept things from people or that the priesthood of Christianity keeps things from people. People are, like you said, biological altruism. The masses lead themselves to the slaughter by relying on faith rather than knowledge. This is a self-sacrifice thing because at the end of the day, one of the first tools we're given on this experience is how to read. So just because somebody dangles bread and circuses over here doesn't mean that knowledge doesn't exist over there. So again, it's all a process that's necessary for sacrifice to happen to continue. Also, because what is it called? Non-native interaction, right? What we're in the earth, what we are is open systems, and it has a threshold for capacity, right? Like an excess of high energy will collapse a system that has a threshold for capacity. The earth system cannot handle everybody knowing how to work the system. It would collapse what we think life is. So that's why some people, we all at a certain point are self-sacrificing in the name of not knowing this stuff or how to work life. So that's a part of the journey, right? That's the part of getting out of here. It's not just about, well, I mean, it is about getting out of here and not coming back, but like, don't say that like it's a suffer to be here. This is a necessary thing for what we are and what we're doing. This entire experience is necessary. And the Isis Thesis will just tell you the science behind it, but we still got to do the work and play this out.
Right, absolutely. And so would it be safe to say, Brother Phoenix, that what we're experiencing on the mundane human level is a reflection of what's going on the quantum, or that we could say the quantum is the real reality and this is the illusion from a certain perspective?
Both. I think you just said the same thing, low key. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's a reflection how we view it with our human minds, and we're projecting it from a molecular level. That's why, the inner world, the external world is a reflection of your internal world, right? We understand that from a law of attraction standpoint. That's science, period, right? We know that the internal world is what you need to get right, so your external world can reflect what you feel. It's the same thing for everything. So everything we do is something that's already going on. And again, few versus the many is how that operates. It takes one virus to rule a million bacteria. She says that several times throughout these books.
Right, absolutely.
And that's what we are, right? At a microscopic level, viruses and bacteria and genes.
Right, so it's safe to say what the pharaohs were doing in ancient chem mirrors exactly what takes place on the quantum.
100%. Actually, where is it? Yeah, right here on page 101, she says, this brings us to the Isis Thesis, the microbial hypothesis that ancient Egyptian deities represent bacterial and viral proteins and genes, specifically those of phage lambda.
Right. And we're going to get into all of this. Now, phage lambda, I've done a little bit of studying on it. And, one phage, actually, they say has about a 20-year lifespan, which is a lot longer, if I'm correct, than the E. coli host cell, which is the host cell that's usually used for the replication of the virus. Viruses and bacteria are considered quantum, in addition to atoms and subatomic molecules are also considered quantum by the definition of quantum. And that horizontal gene transfer is, so when we talk about the lysogenic cell cycle, this means that the E. coli host cell is unaware. All it knows is it's been poked by the bacteriophage virus, and it replicates itself without being aware that it's carrying the virus with it. It doesn't split open in the way that, the boson, which is a quantum signal, like cell phones receive signals through boson particles. The bosons, which carry your information, busts out of the Earth cell through the cusp in the magnetosphere, the same way that the bacteriophage carrying the DNA would bust out of the E. coli host cell. And this is the path to avoiding reincarnation, to not come back here after you unalive, according to ancient the pyramid text, the coffin text, the ancient Egyptian book of the DEAB, which I've got a copy of here too.
So do I. I have a question.
Yeah.
So to become immortal, you have to carry the bacteriophage and go through that process, or the opposite?
Okay, good question. Yeah, you want to take this one, Phoenix?
Energy can't be created or destroyed, so everybody's already immortal in that sense anyway.
Peace
The
out.
point of this is your soul needs enough fuel to get out of here, right?
Yeah.
This is what all of this gene expression is about, right? The genes can't do that, and you can't have enough fuel if you don't do what you're supposed to do down here. That's a, you know what I'm saying? So like gaining
Right,
knowledge
equating
and
experiences and wisdom.
transmuting and transforming pain into understanding and wisdom. You got it. You're gone. You're good. You're gonna get
I
out of here.
actually came up with this. I thought this was like kind of a new idea. I was like trying to tell everybody spirits are actually microbes. You guys, the gut is the spiritual realm. Like I thought I was like a groundbreaking pioneer. Like it's blowing my mind that this has already been
The spirit
discovered. But
world
of course,
is
there's nothing new under the sun.
yeah.
I also
Facts.
have the Egyptian book of that unalived right in front of me.
Ephesians
Lovely
1:9.
illustrations.
Ephesians 1:9. Yeah, the spirit world is
Absolutely.
definitely right up under the skin. That's exactly where it is, and all around, of course.
I've
But
been battling some gnarly methicillin-resistant bacterias, and interestingly enough, at the beginning of this recent ascension cycle, I became able to communicate with it telepathically, different bacterias and such, knowing that they are bacterias and such. So that's been an interesting conversation. They don't self-report as being, for example, Staphylococcus. Like they don't know their names because that's not their realm. That's what we call them. But
right.
they're much more intelligent than anything I've ever communicated with on the physical.
But that's you though. But that's you though.
Oh,
Assalamu alaikum, Taf.
Peace, Ahmed.
So I'm gonna read this part, and then I got some notes from this. Right. So
Yes, sir.
what she says in the Balls of Fire, the Science of Life and Death. Right. Pretty much. Okay. So the funerary corpus. Right. They're texts that have scientific and evolutionary value while explaining the natural laws allowing transformation of human DNA. After all, our genes may be the reason for the idea of God that rises in our consciousness. Both Osiris of ancient Egypt and Jesus of Nazareth die and rise from the dead or reanimate like a virus. Perhaps these ideas of the dying rising God are generated by instructions in our viral genes, as the viral footprint of human history indicates. If the viral genes are responsible for the God message, then our chromosomal apparatus is slamming us with its survival message because other dying rising gods such as Adonis, Attis, Mithra, Krishna, Dionysus, and etc. have also surfaced during the 2,500-year time frame between Osiris and Christ with the same story, right? So perhaps the same message surfaces everywhere in history because we all share the same essential chromosomal apparatus. Thus, historical behavior is repetitive because causation flows from our chromosomal apparatus. It then seems reasonable to assume that the idea of the dying rising God from the genes bears an important survival message for us because it keeps cropping up in historical human consciousness as a sign of life and DNA immortalization. Since the genes are sending our consciousness this God message, it seems that both the genes and our consciousness are necessary for immortality to occur. This suggests that our consciousness may be innate to our genes, or that our chromosomal apparatus is semi-conscious, as research suggests. This seems to be the most economical theory to fit the facts. Therefore, it may be worth thinking about the nature of our viral DNA to understand the meaning of the God message rising in human consciousness, since what humans feel as a profound mystical inner experience of God within their souls may actually be the awareness of the non-conscious origin of our intentionality, a bacterial virus. But now the question is, if the idea of the dying rising God in our consciousness is intrinsic to our genes and due to the massive amount of microbial DNA in our bodies, then the idea of God may model the activities of some type of dying rising microbe. This brings us to the Isis Thesis, the microbial hypothesis that ancient Egyptian deities represent bacterial and viral proteins and genes, specifically those of phage lambda. The dying rising deity Osiris is the sign for the complex bacterial virus lambda, which is everybody, right? Everybody is Osiris. Everybody is the deceased going through the duat right now, right? So on a cellular level, this is what's happening. The dying rising deity Osiris is the sign for the complex bacterial virus lambda that invades a bacterial host cell and goes dormant on the bacterial DNA chromosome. This is us in the lysogenic stage as a photosynthetic being, right? To enter its special dormant chamber on the bacterial cell's chromosome, the virus becomes attached at 4 sites by means of a DNA protein cross called a holiday junction. Here it lies on the host cell DNA nailed to its cross like Christ until it rises from its dormant states to take over the replication machinery of the bacterial cell and clone its own kind. Conveniently, in this microbiological process, the virus is dormant next to the lactose genes. This is Isis, the voice of wisdom, the mother of all gods and goddesses. The nutrient sugar it needs to clone its own when it rises from its dormant states. The nutrient lactose genes are tied off by the lac repressor protein, which loops the DNA in the shape of an Egyptian ankh, the sign of life. Activated by the emission of light and assisted by proteins, the virus then detaches from the DNA cross, uses the lactose nutrients next door, and clones itself, what can be compared to a virgin birth. The Isis Thesis proposes that Isis is the sign necessary for lactose metabolism. So we have a dying rising god on the DNA cross, a virgin birth of clones from a nutrient sugar, and some very ancient signs. The cross, the ankh, and the coming of light, or sun god. This natural process happens within our cells in the ancient glycolysis fermentation gene expression network. Right now, how I broke that down for, how spirituality and this human reflection works, right? So the lac repressor being tied on the lac on the lac genes, right, is what turns the thing from a cross into an ankh, which gives us life. And it's not lifted until the lactose genes are entered into it, right? And this is when you get your bioluminescent or your light body. So the repression is like being bound in the duat or on earth, right? This is the underworld state where your soul is held in darkness. It has potential to, gain the fuel it needs. The repressor, the lac repressor, is just mirroring the weight of your unintegrated pain and the bindings of your lower self, right? So when the right nutrient sugar, the lactose being introduced into the environment, or initiation, awareness, integration of, your, like she said, transmuting pain into understanding and wisdom, that's the lactose being entered into this process. Then the block is lifted. Then the energy floods into manifestation, just as viral forces burst into lysis. Then the cell breaks open, death of the old form, releasing the light body and the crystallized being into a higher plane. So repression and pain that you go through is not punishment. It's just a gestational indrawing. It's the lac repressor tying off the lactose genes. Is like source drawing creation back into itself before another release. But this is all an individual process. Without it, the soul will not have the pressure or fuel it needs for the explosive release into the next experience. So you can ascend and get out of here.
Absolutely. And my understanding, that's the battle of Horus versus Set, and the reassembling of Osiris's body parts is the reassembling of your DNA. The lytic cell cycle would represent Horus, Heru, and the lysogenic cell cycle would represent Set. It's a battle over gene seats, and this is where the game of baseball comes from ancient Egypt. And now, if I'm correct, Camp, that the outfielders would represent Set or the lysogenic cycle, and the ones batting.
I gotta look at the baseball stuff again. I don't really too much read the baseball references. The science is mind blowing enough, so I gotta look at the. But I do understand that lysis releases the progeny. I understand the progeny is the soul. Progeny is offspring, descent. We are offspring of a different source. We did descend down here, so that's the point of this. Lysis is release of the progeny. Right now, the progeny is stuck in a human meat suit.
Right. And so if Horus winning the battle over Set means that you will not be recycled back here, you get out of the wheel of 84, the wheel of Samsara, you don't reincarnate. You actually ascend to become your own supernova.
You'll get to go create your own shit. That's why you're here.
Build your own universe. You can either reincarnate and come back here, do this all over again, or you can.
No, you would never. If you understand that, you would never come here and do this again. You would leave. If you understand what the point is, that's why this information is here.
And Brother Panic said, just by you sitting through this 18-hour lecture, the information's being programmed into your cells.
But you still got to do the work. You still got to do the work. You still got to do the work. The work requires mind, heart, and ego, for sure, right? And most people's mind is under control. Their emotions is out of control, and our egos are scared babies that walk around like bullies. That type of stuff is what changes you molecularly, that gives the soul the fuel it needs to get out of here. If not, right, that's how your heart. So again, remember I was explaining to you, we were on the phone. Yeah. This process doesn't happen when you die. We already died. We're stars that died. Welcome to hell, everybody. Welcome
I
to
was gonna.
hell. This is the underworld. Your heart is being
Right.
weighed against the feather now. Right now.
Right.
Can you let go of this human shit and get God is love and all
Exactly.
of that? Yeah.
Because you were telling me, like, so Bobby Hemmett has a speech where he says when the ancient Egyptians talked about the DEAD and DEATH, they meant living in earthly human embodiment. So
You're in the
we are
duat.
actually DEAD right now. And when
You're in the
the ancient
duat.
Egyptians talked about life and the living, they meant those have passed on. So it's backwards, it's inverted from how we look at it. So
We're
the
in the
ancient
underworld.
Egyptian book of the DEAD translates to the ancient Egyptian book of living an earthly human life. We're
It's called the book
DEAD
of
right now. So our hearts are being weighed on the scale against the feather right now. It's not something we wait to happen after we decompose.
right.
Right?
It's the book of coming forth by day. Right
Right. And
now.
can you explain what coming forth by day means?
Today, like right now, you're in it. You're in the shit today, right now.
Right.
That's why they wrote it like that. Like you're in the duat now. And again, if
Right.
everybody knew this, this wouldn't even be a thing. This is necessary for whatever source code we actually are to strengthen itself. That's my understanding of it, right? Like it's necessary to like all these esoteric movies, like when Master Wayne asked Batman, why do we fall, Master Wayne? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up. Or in Fight Club when he asked,
Right.
when the Shadow's asking Ed Norton, how you know what you made of if you never get in a fight? This is what makes the most sense to me. And then scientifically, again, I'm understanding that your painful experiences are things that push you out of balance so you can be better. That's what energy does. There is something that will push it out of balance to make it better. It will always self-organize. That's what quantum systems do. They always are continuing to self-organize and become better. But the only way it does that is through disturbances. And, we're dramatic. So our disturbances are divorce and child support and racism and stupid shit that we should let go of and transmute into understanding that this is just the nature of this experience. This is a flawed experience by nature because you have to eat to stay alive. Just,
Right.
understand that. Wrap your mind around that. You have to eat to suffer out here and learn how to not suffer. This is a flawed experience. It does not mean we got to choose to suffer. But again, having knowledge ensures anybody can win. That's why the first thing you learn out here is what? How to listen to somebody who knows more than you on the subject naturally. Your parents tell you, don't touch that, sit down, eat this, go to sleep. That's natural. Then you go to a school system that teaches you subjects by somebody who knows more than you. And the second thing is reading, writing, parts of speech, punctuation, and how to define any word you do not know the meaning of. We are given all the tools we need to figure out whatever. Just because we're offered nonsense does not mean that the truth is hidden. It's just less accessible than the nonsense. But it's up to the individual to take this journey and get out of here. It's real work.
Absolutely. And Judy K. King in the book touches on, and Panic spoke on this too, that this knowledge is only meant for some, not for everyone, which when we get into biological altruism, the system is sort of made, which we spoke on this a little bit earlier, that most people are supposed to reincarnate after they unalive, are supposed to just come back here. Only a few, like the pharaohs, would take this path, which is why they built the pyramids, to get out of here, to get off the wheel of reincarnation.
I think it's more to just for this experience, and I think it will come to an end eventually. Who knows? But nothing's real. Anything is possible, But
right,
I think that since energy can't be created or destroyed, everybody's gonna make it. So I just think that
everyone gets out of here, right?
Yeah, I just think that you'll fucking suffer because you don't know shit. I don't know. I remember when I didn't know any stuff, when I didn't know any of this, I was more in pain and sad all the time and angry at some imaginary white man for not knowing something the whole time. I forgot I could just read. The library's free. I start learning stuff and I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad out here. It's still, this is a trash place. The earth realm is the lowest realm of vibration. So it's naturally trash because we know that we're higher beings than this. But you can choose to not suffer out here. It's still pretty cool. There's things to enjoy. Love, pleasure is nice. And we must transmute pain into understanding. As long as we can recognize humanity and not identify with it, we're good. You're good on the journey. Don't identify with anything down here, not race, none of that. You're not even a human. You're not a white woman. I'm not a black man. We're androgynous chaos beings having an experience. As soon as you identify with this shit, your magnetic pull comes to the lower vibration. This is how energy works. You can't be conscious and human. Matthew 6:24. Man cannot serve two masters at once. You choose.
Right. And I remember Bobby Hemmett saying the real me has never even incarnated here. He was like, the trick that makes your heart heavier than the feather is that you identify with the ego and you identify with the physical vessel.
Yep.
So he said, what they want me to think is, my name's Bobby Hemmett. I'm
Yep.
38 years old. I'm 6 feet tall. When you think that you're this, that makes the heart heavy. You start investing emotions into things. You start, I'm driving my car. Someone cuts me off on the road. I feel like I want to follow that person, flip that person off. That's getting all of my feelings and emotions, and that's making my heart heavy. I'm taking things personally.
You love this human shit. You love it. That's what you're saying. You love humanity. You love arguing about why somebody was assassinated and what his political beliefs was. Like, bro, this is the nature of this experience. Show me a man that got some light, I'll show you his darkness. Show me a man that got some darkness, I'll show you his light. You have to, that's transmuting pain into understanding. If you've been through some shit, you understand that because you yourself has probably done some stuff that you are not proud of now, or I wouldn't even say proud of. It's just, you change. You don't do it anymore because you understand that's not okay. So you understand that's the experience for everybody. You don't rob anyone of their journey, and everybody must go through this. There is no fixing this because from a quantum level, it's necessary. Sacrifice is necessary for the life journey to exist. So there is no saving the masses because the masses don't want to save themselves. This is called study thyself, not study your people, study the family, study the community, study thyself, save thyself. John 14:12, verily, 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 those who believe in me and the works that I do, you can do them too. And even greater works than these can you do. So if they have an entire religion where they base this man off of being the savior of it, and in the doctrine of the religion, he says, buddy, whatever you think I can do for you, you can do it even greater. It's about saving yourself. It's literally about
absolutely. And when we get into the Gnostic books, it says that this is all an illusion created by Yaldabaoth, the lower level demiurge, which when we connect that mythology to it, it makes a lot of sense too, that this is an illusion being projected from the quantum. And we see how viruses and bacteria behave on the quantum. And yeah, Brother Panic was saying the same thing, like there isn't any fixing this. When you think I'm going to vote Democrat to fix this, I'm going to vote Republican to fix this.
Right.
Yeah, no, there isn't any.
You're digging deeper holes for the shit. That's all.
Right. And that's making the heart heavier on the scale because you're emotionally investing in all
And
of
I
this.
say it's not wrong either. It's the nature of this experience. I think that's what's important for those who are trying to make it out, is to accept all of this without judgment. Like, yeah, people are going to fucking vote one way or the other, knowing they can't define Democrat or Republican. They're just confidently and arrogantly defending shit because their ego is hurt, sad, and fearful and doesn't understand how any of this works. So it feels like it needs to protect things by, this is what this journey is. But how your heart, you let it go. I don't care what anybody votes. I don't get into those conversations. People ask me what I think about Donald Trump. I do not think about Donald Trump. What the fuck type of question is that?
Right.
I don't care what he's doing. It literally does not.
I'm sick of hearing about him, to be honest.
Right. I know who the county tax assessor in my area is though, because I'm in the real estate and shit. Like, bro, play the game for you. You see what I'm saying? Like, learn what will enhance your experience out here, because you still have to participate in humanity. That's the divine paradox. You don't want to lean, because this is a polarity place. You don't want to lean too far towards your spirituality, because it will be hard to engage in humanity then. And that's no bueno. You see what I'm saying? Balance is perfection. Still engage in humanity as far as pain and pleasure, but also supersede the nonsense, right? Law 39 of the 48 laws of power is stir up waters to catch fish. And I think that's the main play to get your magnetic pull to humanity, get these people to act emotionally and irrationally so they can't think straight. And that will ensure their defeat. If the war is spiritual, then that means you cannot focus on humanity. So that means if, I don't know, they do something crazy at the Super Bowl and, you don't spend your time talking about it for the next 30-day news cycle, that's a pull towards humanity. That has nothing to do with you getting out of here. But I mean, you can watch it for entertainment, but entertainment purposes only. Do not engage past watching it for entertainment, because
so this suggests that, right, the pharaohs of ancient Chem knew that this was an illusion, but they wanted to keep the common people of ancient Egypt believing that it's real, the human experience, and that they were aware of this quantum path. Brother Panic's series on the Isis Thesis is called Detailed Instructions on How to Unalive and Not Come Back Here, we're living in that great age of information where a lot of this is coming to light, but it won't be for everyone, right, God?
I think everybody can make it out. Everybody can make it out. Anybody
absolutely
can make it out.
if they choose to pursue this knowledge. If they,
Yep. Yeah. It's not more advanced than anything that we have. You have it. It's just we're finding it again. Like the family
Right.
member said, the process has been going on for years. You know how long it took us to figure this out the first time?
Right. Absolutely. Now, all of this is a lot of collegiate, sophisticated wording, but when you really get it, it makes sense. Like there's actually some cartoons on YouTube you can watch that explain in cartoon depictions how bacteriophage viruses work within the human body. And if I'm correct, bacteriophages are everywhere.
Yeah,
You know,
they're in abundance. The science is definitely good to know, but you got to do the work still. Knowing this will not get you out of here. You can't just because you know where the stars. Nope. Your heart can't be heavy with a feather. Don't take that lightly. You think that shit is sweet. No, your magnetic pull towards humanity is why you're on Earth in the first place. So the work is really, really key to do while you're here. That's the only way this gene stuff does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be an autopilot thing. It's not something that happens, your body decomposes and you're like, all right, now I got to get out of here. Nope. You had to have made that decision while you're here. You're going through the duat right now. You're already
right
dead.
now.
When this body decomposes, that's when you choose if the soul can lift out of here or not. So don't take the work lightly. You got to do the work.
Page 89 says, our model posits that the deceased represents a genetic insert into bacteriophage vector, right? So now, Wisdom, you were pointing out to me that as we speak right now, if we consider the ancient Egyptian perspective that DEAD means to be an earthly human embodiment, then we're DEAD right now. So the lambda phage vector is actually cloning the DNA right now. Would that be safe to conclude, Wisdom? Brother Phoenix?
That's what we're playing out right. And I actually, she says right here, the only elements known to produce a magnetic field are iron, cobalt, and nickel, which are the same elements in the phage lambda's head.
Okay.
Wow,
And
that's some real shit.
so this particularly is dealing with the lambda bacteriophage, not other bacteriophages, right?
Right. Which
Okay.
is what science, right? This is what science means, knowledge, to know, right? A bunch of people have figured this out ages and ages over time. We're just refining this information. So like when you read stuff like, everything points to this being lambda. And oh, by the way, the only things that connect, that make a magnetic field, you see what I'm saying? This is,
Right.
This is scholarship.
And so this isn't just after the flesh decomposes, after unaliving, but bacteriophage vectors replicate and become a vessel for the DNA. And this is what it's talking about in the ancient Egyptian text when it says you're carried on the ferry boat of Re.
You are the ferry right now. This is your ferry boat, to as above, so below. So it's going to be a thing then.
When we identify with these human traits, or, Panic talked about, you hear something on the news that's tragic and it makes you emotional and you want to go out and protest, that's weighing the heart down. It's more human identity. It's more emotion, energy in motion being invested in the human identity.
Exactly. Yeah. Harvesting our energy.
Right. It says in this capacity, the deceased is ready to make the transformation in the duat and has bonded to Re at the polar great stairway to be ferried through the black duat as the deceased sun god Osiris. Since our exploration supports our model that the sun god Re operates like incoming phage lambda into an E. coli earth cell, for simplicity, we can say that the union of the sun god Re and the deceased could represent the uptake of human information or genetic instructions that is fragmented DNA into the incoming lambda sun god. This is similar to types of horizontal gene transfer our modern bacterial geneticists also call transformation or transduction. Today, researchers use bacterial viruses like phage lambda as cloning vectors. Put simply, they insert exogenous DNA fragments into lambda genome. The phage then becomes a carrier molecule or vector that transfers or ferries the recombinant DNA into the host cell. Now, earlier in the book, just to touch on this, they mentioned that scientists have observed that bacteriophages do this, that they replicate our DNA within us. and they take it with them when they reproduce themselves using E. coli host cells. So that's been scientifically observable.
Which the
Right.
Earth is. Which the Earth is an E. coli cell, big ass E. coli cell.
As above, so below.
And right, that's why
So
this
what do you-
is the journey of the afterlife right now, because we're projecting this anyway from the quantum realm, right? Like
Right.
we're a star that's supernovaed, and DNA from that is self-replicating.
So Isis is the first hero in the story because she reassembles Osiris's body, which is her brother, her husband. Osiris's severed body parts come apart after Osiris has been cut up into pieces and scattered all around by his brother Set. After putting her husband, brother Osiris's body parts back together, Isis impregnates herself with the seed and gives birth to their son Horus, who is Heru, which is where we get the word hero from, who is the Christ, who then becomes the main hero because he avenges his father Osiris by defeating his uncle Set. Now, the Isis Thesis is proposing that this story is symbolic of the reassembling of the DNA in the host cell when the lytic cell cycle Horus defeats the lysogenic cell cycle Set. And
Right now.
Right.
Right now.
Okay, so it's something happening right now, you're saying, Phoenix.
Yeah, the DNA is being reassembled right now. I want you to help me out with this lecture too.
Okay.
About, because the universe is order out of chaos. That's entropy. Entropy reigns here. And that's why Isis is the savior of all of this, because the whole point of this esoterically is to, get your divine feminine energy right. That is everybody. The soul is the divine feminine that needs to wake up and needs the fuel to get out of here. So that's why whatever divine feminine principles esoterically we're supposed to work on down here is what is recombining the DNA to give the soul fuel to escape. It's
Absolutely.
now. That's how you get your heart. So it's, the nurturing, creation, intuition, that stuff, tapping in more to that type of energy, everybody, so you can get out of here.
So it would be safe to say that if this is the DEAD, then as the Egyptian theology would propose, then this is happening right now. We're actually escaping as we speak. We're lightening our heart's load as we speak, correct?
I mean, if you're doing the work, yeah.
If you're doing the work, right. Now, Isis is a representation of the lactose energy metabolism because lactose being milk is something that is from the feminine. The hieroglyphics say Isis provides milk for the DEAD king. The lactose nutrient medium is necessary for the lysis-crow protein process in the host cell, which has been infused with the DNA of the phage vector, right? Yeah, go ahead, God. Yeah.
No, I was just saying to release the progeny. That's what it takes.
Right. So the battle between Horus and Set is lysogeny CI protein Set versus lysis-crow protein Horus. This battle takes place in the host cell and determines whether or not Osiris's body parts will be reassembled and resurrected as Horus. If the CI protein becomes dominant, which is Set, then the lysogenic cell cycle takes place. If the crow protein becomes dominant, which is Horus, the lytic cell cycle takes place. So if Horus wins the battle, you become your own universe. If Set wins the battle, you reincarnate. You stay here to repeat this all over again.
Right. And we couldn't give Mr. freaking whatever he said, whatever he made up. Do you have time to be proving this stuff? Like, bruh, every movie ever says this stuff. Every mythology and religion says this stuff. And we're reading the actual quantum mechanics behind it. That's why I'm like, I don't see why this guy's confused. Like, I could tell you a million ways why this stuff is the truth. It says it in all religions and mythologies. Do you have time? I can name like 60 Bible verses that says this is exactly what this means. I can name a bunch of stuff from the Quran. I can name a bunch of stuff from Greek mythology. They make all kind of movies about this stuff. Like, this is exactly what it is. Like, we can't find any more information on this. It's time to lock in on this and understand this part. It's the journey of the hero. It's the journey to self-mastery. That's why you come here by yourself.
Never-ending story, right? Absolutely. It isn't for everyone. It's not for everyone to get. And I'm not here to make somebody else be convinced. That's just getting myself emotionally wrapped up if I start to debate this person. And you're absolutely right, God. Like, tell him he's right,
I felt myself. I felt my ego like, I felt it. And that's shadow work that I'm doing. Like, why do you care that much? And that's why I was like, Kef, you know what? We're going to just drop them because we're providing scholarship that we can stand on. There is no point going back and forth with somebody who's like, well, I don't believe the facts that you're giving me. Sir, I can't help you with that. Get up out of here. Get up
Right,
out of here.
right.
The Wizard of Oz, definitely. I just watched a Panic video about that. I sent it to you, Cam. Go watch that video, dog. And then I went back and
I'm
watched the
gonna
Wizard of
watch it.
Oz.
I'm
My
gonna
mind was
send it out
blown.
too.
I
Yes,
said, I'll be
sir.
damned. Right up under our nose. You talking about something? I didn't even notice they said Isis and Osiris when I was a kid. Why would you notice it, nigga?
The dude Ahmed who was on here, I've spoken to him a little bit before. Now, if I'm correct, he's from Palestine and he's a Sunni Muslim. And I think maybe his feelings became a little bit hurt with some things I was saying about that religion in some
Well,
other.
we don't care. We don't
Yeah, we
care.
don't.
That's human shit.
Fuck your feelings, right?
That's
FY.
human shit that we're not engaged in, brother. If it works for you,
Right.
go do it. This is what works for us. We're not saying don't do your stuff. I mean, I might come off like that, but I don't care because I'm here to shit on your humanity because I love what you are spiritually.
Right,
That's
right,
just
right.
my purpose. I love it. That's what I'm on at this point in my life. If you don't like it, get off of the live. Don't get bullied over the internet. You can just get off the live. What the heck? And
Right,
again,
right,
I always say
absolutely.
all of these religions are beautiful mythologies if you know what you're looking at. If
If
you
you
know
know
how to
what you're
decipher
looking
these
at.
mythologies, they're beautiful. I pull out of the Bible often because it's what resonates with people mostly, even if they don't go to church anymore. The Christian priesthood is what took the concept of God outside of man and woman anyway. So most people who even go over to, well, the universe got my back, that's a Christian concept still. You just hopped out of the pot into the frying pan, you see? So I pull from the Bible to let you know it's still the truth. Like, I think it was Grace said, if nothing new under the sun. That's Ephesians 1:9 because they stole all of their stuff from Egypt. Acts 7 verse 22. Moses was learning all the wisdom of the Egyptians. This thing is just a map. This is a breadcrumb to show you like this is what leads back to what has stood the test of time. It says contemporary science, right? And they encoded it here. Christianity is so confusing because an adult or a child really should be able to look at it and say, this doesn't make any sense. There must be something else to it, which there is. Because
Right.
what Mr. Devil's Advocate doesn't understand is this is not an experience where people just fucking tell you shit. Nobody can tell you how to see. You have to
Right.
find out here, which is why you're given the tool how to read. Like when you first get here, you're taught the language and then how to read almost immediately, sir. You have to find out things here. It's knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That is the Holy Trinity because everything you encounter is information or knowledge for you to understand and then bring wisdom thereafter. And if you can't see that through the pattern of humanity, we can't help you out with that. Like
That part. And Phoenix, doesn't the book Balls of Fire touch on Christianity a little bit in one section with regard to eating from the tree? And it goes into
Yes.
the Gnostic books as well, the Apocryphon of John. And
there's
those
a couple
books.
times she explains it actually very well, just about how it's a self-sacrificing biological altruism pretty much concept, you know, but still necessary to pull people out. I say that often on my lives. Like, I feel like we left that behind on purpose for when the pendulum swung and we inevitably had to put ourselves to sleep. So when we came out of it, of course, we incarnate into families that are Christian because I feel like it's the easiest thing to decode as far as all of this goes because it's written in impossible and irrational impossibilities and breaks in the narrative. Like there's two different creation accounts in chapter 1 and chapter 2. So
Right.
I think, it's necessary, of course, to slow down because of, how open systems work. It has a threshold of capacity. Everybody can't get it at once or this wouldn't be a thing, right? So it's a necessary evil, if you will, to, for the journey to be a thing. The unseen is for sure scary, but whatever. And honestly, people don't understand, like, it's already at play anyway. The spirit realm underpins everything that happens in the human existence. You just don't have control over it. Like, most people focus on what they don't want more than what they do want. And that's exactly what you keep getting. It's because you're living in a fear-based mindset because you don't understand the maps that were left for you to, navigate this experience. So it's all choice. It's all personal choice.
Right,
all
absolutely. On page 13 of the Isis Thesis, it says, in light of the fact that the deceased is no longer living human matter, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, the duat, which is the underworld, must represent a quantum phenomenon where these elements exist and are reassembled. Page 56 says, the deceased in his original shape, the DNA, bonds to the sun god as a foreign insert in the vector for gene cloning, with the Earth and its magnetosphere representing the living system or host cell where the vector can be propagated. The cloning is the Earth's element-enriched northern cusp where the sun god is moored in the dockyard of the gods. Then, Page 63 says, in our model for verification, the essence of the deified king indicates the union of the sun god and deceased, or insertion of final human elements into the phage DNA capsid, that is the pyramid head. With the bacteriophage attaching to a host cell, its DNA is pumped out of the head, down the tail into the cell. So the bacteriophage lambda vector is the microscopic spaceship that carries the DNA of the deceased. So,
In the wall,
yeah.
to the cell wall of the earth. That's what it means to be a moored one. I be trying to tell these niggas. That's what it means to be a moored. You can get the fuck up out of here, boy. You tied into the cell wall to get out of here, not tied to the land down here. But you know, as above, so below. You want to be stuck down here, go ahead, moor it up, my guy.
So what it's saying is that as above, so below. So what it's saying is that the earth cell is the same thing as a E. coli host cell, and the same way that the sun's energy, because it's the book of coming forth by day, the Helios, the sun, comes through the cusp in the magnetosphere, is the same way that a bacteriophage impregnates or puts itself through the E. coli host cell. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, and those four elements was what? Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen, right?
Right. So if the bacteriophage replicates the DNA and becomes that's the boat of Osiris, Re's ferry boat, and it utilizes the lytic cell cycle to then bust out of the Earth system, which is the E. coli host cell, then your consciousness as a boson particle will do the same thing above that it has done below. Is that correct?
I mean, that's just what it's doing.
Right. Okay.
What it's doing. There's no as above, so below. Then you're gone.
Right.
There is no more for that. You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Once the body decomposes and your immortal essence or consciousness, which is all of this viral DNA and bacteria stuff, it should be on autopilot depending on how you move down here. That's what the whole thing is. It's not you need to know this science definitely so you can walk your way out of here. Nope. It's you needed to live correctly down here per the knowledge left behind. So it's a thing that just happens naturally because the process is now. The process is right now. The process is right now. It's not something that happens, right? You don't need to know what a boson particle is. It helps to know that this is what's going to happen if you do this correctly.
But so technically someone doesn't need to know all these like fancy collegiate terms, college level lingo and all this like boson particles, viruses and bacteria. But the point is to not have the heart be heavy, which is being emotionally invested in this human experience.
I think you should know a base level of what you are. Mm-hmm. I think, it's all the explanation of external nature from what's projecting it. So I think you should know on a base level, like what an open system is. That's what you are. Something that exchanges energy and matter with the surroundings. Like know that type of stuff. Know how open systems work, like on a base level, because I mean, that as above, so below matters, right? When you understand how open systems work, like in excess of high energy collapses low vibrational things, then you can heal yourself when you understand that, or you can start manifesting easier because as above, so below, this is how these principles work. So it's good to know, the science, but also the real science you need to know is this journey of self-mastery, all of this trauma and pain that you incarnate into that you have to let go of.
If I could put it simply, like, because I was thinking about maybe making a cartoon drawing of this. So bacteriophages are all over the place. Am I correct, Wisdom? All of us have billions of bacteriophages throughout our whole body, right? Aren't bacteriophages are all over the earth and they're found in every living organism, cats, dogs, trees, plants. Am I correct? Like bacteriophages are just everywhere.
Right here it says, many scientists now argue that viruses contain a genetic archive that's been circulating the planet for billions of years. When they try to trace the common ancestry of the virus genes, they often work their way back to a time before the common ancestor of cell-based life. So viruses may have first evolved before the first true cells even existed, which makes sense because, and this is why having a base knowledge makes sense. If you care, if your interest level is science like that, viruses, the virus's relationship is to impregnate a bacteria and rule it. That's what it is. This is exactly what we're doing. We're projecting. We projectile. It's a projectile. It got into something. It's a cosmic womb stargate thing. But at the end of the day, it all is a code. It's a if you could It's a dust. It's a star dust that shouldn't be able to be seen with even a microscope. That's what the soul is. That's what we are. Something that just is. And it just started forming because that's the will. The will to form. It just is. It had the will to form. That's your Big Bang, that blip. That's the will to form. And then after that blip,
Right.
hydrogen and helium started mixing. That's what made stars and clouds. Stars eventually supernovaed. And like she explains, when a star supernovas, the core stiffens, and what's inside the core rushes out and impregnates the cosmic womb, just like down here. A core stiffens, something rushes out and impregnates a womb. It's all the same thing, as above, so below. And DNA happens to be self-replicating genetic material. And the four building blocks, like you said earlier, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen, for the main things that bust out of the star when it dies. And also, that's the book of Enoch for you, right? We are ethereal beings made of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. That's NOCH. That's Enoch right there, which I'm pretty sure that book explains a lot of good stuff.
Absolutely.
I hear it.
Absolutely. And so what's fascinating is that scientists observe that these bacteriophages actually carry our DNA. They become like a container, a cell, a vessel that it continues to carry our DNA after we unalive. And when it impregnates an E. coli host cell, it then makes more of our DNA even after we're unalived. And so if it takes the lytic cell cycle, that means it busts out of the E. coli host cell rather than just have the E. coli host cell replicate itself. It actually destroys the E. coli host cell. And then because only 2% of the DNA utilizes protein to make up the physical body. 98% of the DNA serves no known purpose. They don't know what it's for, what it's doing. This been observed that, as above, so below, that on the macrocosmic scale, bosons can escape through the cusp in the Earth's magnetosphere the same way that the bacteriophage carrying our DNA would escape from an E. coli host cell representing the Earth on the quantum level. And I'd like to welcome Mad Money to the panel. What's good, God? Good to have you with us here.
Peace.
Peace. Grand evening. Page 63 in the Isis Thesis here goes on to say, the pyramid of Unis, the Great Pyramid, and others were constructed with pyramidal head structures and causeway tails that are similar to phage morphology. So it's saying the pyramids have these tunnels underneath them, these causeways, that look similar to a bacteriophage virus, because a bacteriophage virus has a head that looks like a dodecahedron with a pyramid top, and it has these tails underneath it that resemble the way the pyramid structure looks with its tunnels underneath. Similar to the Theban recension, which is an interpretation of the papyrus of Ani, refers to Atum as the sunshine god rising in the sky. The mighty one appears, the horizon shines, Atum appears on the smell of his sensing. The sunshine god has risen in the sky. The mansion of the pyramidion is in joy, and all its inmates are assembled. This passage equates to the sun god Ra, Atum, with the geometric shape of the pyramid, which is similar to phage lambda morphology. Now, if anyone wants to chime in on this and build on this, is there a reason why maybe the pyramids were built similar to how a bacteriophage virus looks? That it represents the vessel that's carrying the person's consciousness out of the Earth system, because the pyramids are aligned with the stars. So cell phones receive signals by boson particles. So the boson particles, which carry the information of your DNA from the bacteriophage vector after it's busted out of the E. coli host cell within the body, are then shooting through the cusp in the Earth's magnetosphere, busting out of the Earth cell. That's profound. It's an interesting observation that she points out in the book here. Brother Phoenix, would you say that this sounds accurate, that there's a similarity between, the structure of the pyramids and how a pyramid looks like a bacteriophage?
Yeah, I read that part. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. We can speculate all day as to why they did it. It could be a bunch of different reasons. Art, of a laugh towards the plebeians. I don't know, maybe they were as above below principles, putting energy on it because they understood what it was. So that's why I would do it, because if I understood what this was, that's how we, put energy on things down here. And the magic was probably different back then, so I would think that's why they did it, to
Or is
help
it
them.
safe to say that a bacteriophage virus is a small pyramid because it has a pyramid-shaped head, and that
Right.
just like it carries our DNA and busts out of the E. coli host cell, then the boson particles, which are a non-physical signal, like a cell phone signal, would carry the information of the DNA out of the pyramid to bust out of this Earth system. We're going through the cusp in the Earth's magnetosphere, which is a host cell.
All right, imitating life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Osiris's body parts are severed and scattered when so here's what the Isis Thesis is saying this means, is that your DNA comes apart when the bacteriophage impregnates the E. coli host cell. The bacteriophage reproduces itself with your DNA, and then it reassembles itself by making more of itself in the E. coli host cell, reassembling your DNA. So it says when a phage vector attaches to a host cell, it injects its DNA, in this case being the DNA of the deceased person, into the host cell. And now either of two processes can take place, the Cro protein lytic cell cycle or the CI protein lysogenic cell cycle. So the lysogenic cell cycle is what we don't want to happen. That's the cycle of it. What it's saying is set, where it wouldn't bust out of the E. coli host cell, but the E. coli host cell wouldn't even be aware that the bacteriophage has impregnated it, and the E. coli host cell would just replicate itself, thereby replicating the bacteriophage. Whereas if the lytic cell cycle takes place, then it busts out of the E. coli host cell, and that makes your DNA information as boson particles, which are boson waves, which are information, can go through walls, just like a cell phone signal goes through a wall. So the pyramid would send this boson signal carrying your information out of the Earth, because the Earth's magnetosphere is an E. coli host cell on a macrocosmic scale. It says the lytic cycle, when Cro protein becomes dominant, the phage, Osiris, spreads its recombinant DNA throughout the cell. This genetic information forms separate body parts of the phage vector, which then reassemble, reconnect to form new phages, Horus, the son of Osiris, taking the LAC-Z enzyme, which is synthesized by the host cell when lactose, which is the milk metabolism, lactose, Isis, becomes available. So you need the help of the great mother Isis for the lytic cell cycle, for Horus to be born, for the lytic cell cycle to take place in the cell, which gives your DNA the information to bust out of this Earth system. The lysogenic cycle, when the CI protein becomes dominant, the phage's DNA combines with the DNA of the host cell, leaving the host cell alive and intact. The host cell is unaware of its presence. The host cell replicates itself as a prokaryotic organism. Eventually, the LAC-Z repressor gene will become weak, causing the bacteria to cut out part of its own DNA, which will eventually be the new phage virus. Prokaryotes are always unicellular. The phone's ringing over here. Well, eukaryotes are often multicelled organisms. The folding of lambda CI protein to its native conformation results in prokaryotic to eukaryotic evolution of Homo sapiens sapiens trapped in the Earth system, whereas the folding of lambda Cro protein results in the recombinant species referred to as Homo sapiens lambda that reverses time, escaping from the Earth system to the early universe. Homo sapiens sapiens is humanity, so the goal is to no longer be human, to escape the Earth cycle of reincarnation. So Set represents returning to humanity, Horus represents escaping the Earth cycle of humanity to get off the wheel of reincarnation. As above, so below. The competition between Lysis, Horus, and lysogeny Set translates to the release of energy as radiation, chemoluminescence, or heat, photosynthesis in the universe. We went over this in the abstract of the book. It says, thus approximately 4 billion years ago, as scientists are guessing, the process of lambda lysogeny resulting from CI protein production activated the transition to eukaryotic development and photosynthesis humanism. Prior to that time, the original lambda structure, as signified by Cro protein control and chemoluminescence, was imprinted on the universe. The horizontal gene transfer of the deceased on the Egyptian path to the stars, referred to as lambda genesis. Egyptian scientists not only support that information can escape from the protein folding funnel landscape of a black hole, but can also reinforce concepts such as string theory, T-duality, and supersymmetry.